Hello, everyone, and welcome. Crash here. This is RTA Motorsports, and I don't believe it. We're in the rig. It's actually working. I think I figured things out a little bit. Let's turn this camera a little bit. I actually have to pull this USB back a little bit. This one camera keeps wanting to turn the wheel cam, and I actually don't know if I'm going to still use it. I may this year turn this into a pedal cam. I think that would be better suited because I do have my beautiful Husenfeld's sprints that don't get enough love here. Let's change this over so that way you can kind of see what I'm talking about. We do have the wheel cam right here. But I do like to showcase this wheel. This is a beautiful wheel that we had built last year. You all haven't seen it. It's kind of a imitation LMP1 wheel. It's got some beautiful grips on here. And this was actually a group build where I joined a group on Discord and we all pitched money in. Some people pitched their expertise and they came together and built this wheel. I've been wanting to do a video on this wheel, but honestly, just last year was kind of a very busy year for me. So hopefully this year we'll catch up with a lot of reviews that we have to catch up on, as well as maybe some long-term checkup videos that I want to do. That was actually something I wanted to do because I've had some pieces of hardware for a long period of time that I wanted to update you all on. For instance, my Fanatec SQ shifter here. I think I've had it for like 3 or 4 years, maybe even longer than that. I think it would be valuable to a lot of you to actually go through and talk about my experiences with owning that wheel. But yeah, if you want to see anything specific, definitely let me know. I've been with Prosimu and their motion rigs for quite a long time as well. So I can talk about my experiences with that as well. I'm going to go through and right now we're just going to be installing some setups here. We're going to do some laps in the GTE Sprint Series and iRacing. And basically, let me go over kind of what the issues were that we had with my new PC build. So let me actually first describe what we got going on here. So we are coming from the the 5800 X3D CPU and that build, the AM4 platform. We just recently upgraded to the Ryzen 7950 X3D. I know the 9000 series is out. I don't like kind of what's going on with some of the prices that are out there. I think some of the prices need to calm down first, and then maybe I'll jump into that. But the nice thing with the AM5 platform is when I am ready, I could just, maybe next year or so, get one of those CPUs and drop it into my existing motherboard. What we have here is the B650 live mixer from Acerrock or Acerrock. Beautiful motherboard, very cool design. It's not the X series that I would normally go for. Because this one here has the most USBs I have ever seen in any motherboard. Very, very awesome. Rad Standard Racing. Hey, what's going on? Thank you for joining in. But yeah, this motherboard has been solid so far. Been pretty good. And I love the fact that I was able to get rid of a lot of my hubs, my USB hubs that I kind of have all my peripherals plugged into because there's so many USB ports on the back of this motherboard. It's pretty insane. Let's see. Let me see what car this is real quick that we're going to be throwing these setups in. Corvette C8R. There we go. Let me just drop these setups. And then we should be good to go on the track. Check it out. But what actually happened to me, which is pretty interesting, is I built a setup. Everything was good to go. Did a few laps. Everything looked pretty good. And then all of a sudden I started noticing like severe stuttering. There was a stuttering that was happening. It was every 5 seconds, and it was repeating itself over and over. And then it was getting worse and worse to the point where the computer would fully lock up. And it was repeatable. It was constantly happening. Wasn't sure why this was happening over and over again. Now, the RAM that I bought, it's good RAM. There's nothing wrong with the RAM. But the RAM that I bought on ASRock's website, the QVL, even though this kit, when you buy it, it's a 32 gig kit. So it's two 16 gigabyte sticks, right? It's on the QVL list for advertised speeds of 6,400 megahertz. I lowered that down to 6,000 because I figured maybe there's something memory going on here. I read a few posts that basically said, well, like ASRock's QVL, you got to pretty much take it as a literal rating, right? Whatever they say, it's literally that. So it said 16 gigabytes. I don't know who would just take one stick out of a 32 gig kit and only install the one stick. Maybe if you're doing just like competitive benchmarking or something like that. So I just ran the 2 sticks, and then I turned off XMP, which is the profile, and then I put back the voltage, the voltage presets to run the sticks, right? Because these sticks run at 1.35 volts. So I put back all the voltages, but I left the timing to auto, and seems to run perfectly smooth now. So actually, my 3D Mark benchmarks and all that are even better than they were when I was running XMP. So it's definitely a memory issue. I don't think my memory sticks are bad. I just think I need to maybe purchase a different kit, and that are suitable as far as the QVL list goes, and then kind of go from there. So that's kind of what happened there. So if you're, upgrading your system and you're running into any sort of issues, definitely look at your memory QVL. And there we go. We're back to full screen. I'm not really sure why it dropped out of full screen there. And so yeah, definitely take a look at your memory QVL, because I was having a bunch of issues that were suggesting a bunch of different things, and I spent a few days kind of messing with it. Almost went as far as like reinstalling Windows and all that. I'm glad I didn't. Very, very glad I didn't. The only issue that I'm having, for some reason, every time I click on my OBS, it drops iRacing out of full screen. There must be a window somewhere behind iRacing. All right, there we go. We're back to full screen again. The only like real big issue that I was having is where was I going with that? Oh, getting my cameras kind of working, and for some reason this seemed to fix it. But the other consistent issue that I always seem to have is like with my Elgato cameras, they have to be on like different USB areas. So I have like one camera going through my front port, because I guess it goes through different PCI lanes in the CPU. So I have one camera go through my front port, or else it won't work if they're both connected to the back of the PC at the same time. And they're both Elgatos, but one's a face cam, one's a face cam Mark II. And then I also have my cam link, and that's going through a USB hub on the back of the PC USB 3.0 port. Very strange. I'm not sure why this always seems to happen to me. But this is the only way I was able to get it to work. And that's where we're at. So let's get our cam link working. Oh, in the wrong window here. All right. Because of course I like to do racing with you guys on board at the same time. So we do have the motion rig going. Make this full screen again. I just seen something. We're gonna have to take it off full screen. My poor computer, I am not setting it up for success today. All right, there we go. Let's get the gloves on. But the motion rig is going. Again, we're running the Prosimu 3 degrees of freedom motion rig. And these are the silent actuators. They're not, they're not perfectly, completely quiet. But they are a lot quieter than what you would experience with a normal SEN actuator. But you still get motion rig noise. You get rig noise no matter what. Let's move the seat forward. Kind of getting used to being in the rig again. Yeah, so in what GPU do you have? Rad Standard. So Rad Standard says, because I'm running right now this stream in a few different places. I don't know why every time I touch OBS, it takes me out of full screen. This is gonna get a little frustrating. Let me make this a little bit wider so that way I could see kind of what you're writing there. All right, so Rad Standard says, interested to hear my opinion about the CPU upgrade. He's running the 5800 X3D at the moment. That's what I was running up until recently. I'm not really sure if I was having issues or not. I was going to do... And again, sorry everyone, if you're noticing like the stream keeps flickering, that's purely because I keep putting iRacing back to full screen. And then it like... kind of messes with the OBS stream. So I was running the 5800 X3D. I was going to do a full normal benchmark comparison between the two. And I started having like instability issues left and right. It was pretty consistent that I was having weird instability issues. And
pit lane speed limit
so
is 50 miles per hour.
I could compare it to results that I had in the past.
Pit exit's clear.
But I kind of feel it is not really fair to compare the two. Oh, I didn't put a setup on. But we'll just do a lap here real quick. And we'll go back in. Being that I was having some weird, compatibility issues, but I started noticing a lot of strange things happen. And again, I was always updating my BIOS, making sure my BIOS was the most up-to-date it could possibly be. But my cameras were constantly flickering out. I was having... One time, my whole computer just shut off on me. That was very frustrating. I was in the middle of a race and a stream at the same time. It just fully shut off. And that's kind of why I stopped making videos for a little bit, because I felt like I was just kind of spinning my wheels, and there was always something frustrating that happened where I couldn't really enjoy the racing. It was always just something was failing on my computer in a consistent rate. So that's why I'm not really doing the full benchmark comparison, but I will run benchmarks of this CPU. Once we verify that everything is running the way it should. But the reason why I asked what GPU you were running is because we can compare frame rates in different scenarios. But I'm running the 4090. let's go back into the pits. So I did notice though it has been a sizable improvement in frame rate, especially at the grid. So I was doing like AI tests, putting myself behind 30 cars, and I noticed like it felt super smooth. And then certain areas of the track, like for instance where we were just running, I'm getting 160 frames per second, whereas I wasn't before, and it felt smoother. And so running these tests with AI was crucial in the beginning to verifying that everything was working right, but then also noticing like side by side when you have the two cars right next to each other and feeling like everything was ultra smooth. So that was nice. But it'll be interesting to see what the actual numbers are when we get there. The only issue I'm having, like I said, is the RAM timings. I feel like there's more performance I'm leaving on the table right now, purely because of the memory QVL, right? So it's not the fault of the motherboard, it's the fault of the kit I purchased. So it's my fault, right? So let's change the setup here. That's iRacing's. Oh man, I am so out of it as far as remembering how to do everything. Even just getting this, getting the stream going was like an ordeal for me. Remembering how to do it, especially being that I'm dual streaming to both the vertical and horizontal YouTube. I like forgot how to do that.
Push, push, push.
But little things like this here. So this is my tachometer here on the right. Normally it flashes like crazy, like neutral. It does a bunch of weird stuff or disconnects. I've been noticing it's working a lot smoother, as well as the needle moves faster for whatever reason since I upgraded to this new setup. I don't know if there's more USB bandwidth, and that's why there's a lot more USB ports. Could be. But I definitely want to test it with VR because I feel like VR is going to be ultra playable and smooth now. But iRacing is definitely taking advantage of the increased computing, because even though I didn't have the data for how things were, you know, actually I could load up Oregon because I did an AI test. I kind of remember at the back of the field AI, the back of the field with AI, I was getting like with the 3090. Hey Dan, what's going on? With the 3090, I was getting, I want to say like the lows were like 36 to 38 frames per second, and the 50. No, that was, oh man, now I'm like struggling to remember. So the 3000 series AMD CPUs, when I upgraded to the 5900X for the first time, the 3000 series CPU, I was getting like 38. When I upgraded to the 5900X, I was getting like 62 at the back of the field with Argon. I don't think I retested that with my 5800 X3D. It would have been higher, but it's kind of wondering how much higher this will be than the 5900X, because at least, you know, the information's out there for the delta between the 5900X and the 5800 X3D with iRacing. Everyone kind of knows like you'll get like this much of a difference between the two. The only problem is I did that test with the 3090. happy to see also Rode. I have the Rodecaster Duo, the little soundboard here. They actually had an update since I've been gone, where I had a little bit of a stutter there, where we were able to now kind of load everything into the Rodecaster Duo on separate channels as far as like your game, your mic, even as far as like Crew Chief has its own slider on there, so I could adjust Crew Chief's volume separately. I don't know why I slowed down so much right there. And then that comes out into one channel on OBS. So that makes it really nice and easy to adjust volumes on the fly. Dan, how you doing? And how's Camus Wheel treating you? I actually lent mine to one of my good friends, Jesse, who's his T500 didn't die, but he's starting to have issues with it as far as like things were cracking, but he races all the time and has been for a long time, so it's kind of getting very long in the tooth still. I think so far he's enjoying it, but I'm kind of curious what your take on your Camus setup is. Thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's probably my favorite wheel. From the ones that I own. No, so to control motion, I'm actually using sorry. Can't walk and chew gum at the same time. Now I overcooked the back tires here. Let's actually go back into the pits here. So I'm using Sim Racing Studio. So
Just speed limit in the pits.
Prosimu, they actually have, I wouldn't say necessarily a partnership, but it's kind of like a partnership with Sim Racing Studio. So you could use other motion software. Like I always used to use, what was it called? I don't know why I can't remember it. But there,
Front right, 96%. Rear right, 97%.
there is a community-built motion software that most people use. I just can't, for the life of me, remember exactly what it's called, because that motion software is like the most well-known one, and for some reason my brain doesn't want to cooperate right now. That one you could literally do anything you want with any motion rig. So I could still run that software. I still have it configured for this motion rig and it will work just fine. There's just a lot of submenus. There's a lot of tweaking that needs to happen to really get it to work. I don't know why my webcam is starting to skip over here now. Very strange. Kind of noticing that is starting to happen. But yeah, so it's kind of distracting me that it's skipping like that. Anyway, so I could use that motion software whenever I want to, and it'll be just fine. It'll work just great. But they actually have a setup with Sim Racing Studio where if you use their software, it's pretty much like out of the box, ready to go. There is very few sliders to adjust to get everything feeling just right. Everything is very easily labeled. You know, like curbs has its own slider, things like that. And it's tailored towards sim racing, even though I could use it for flight and things like that. In the beginning, Sim Racing Studio or I should say they didn't have profiles for every simulator out there. So they didn't have profiles for like, and I'm just using this as an example, let's just say R Factor 2 and things like that, even though I think they did. So it really was dependent on the title you were using. But then once I actually ordered this tachometer from them, I really wanted to use it all the time. There is a way to probably map this to other software like SimHub, but this has their what's called a telebox that communicates directly with Sim Racing Studio. So as soon as I start Sim Racing Studio, the motion rig calibrates. If I start any title, I don't have to do anything with the software. It just automatically switches from title to title and works. Whereas the other motion software, again, I'm sorry, I don't remember the name. You have to direct it towards every title you're about to use. And the one thing I disliked about that software back when I used to use it was if you didn't start the software for the title you were about to turn on before you started the title, you had to restart the title, or else it wasn't receiving the telemetry information. Whereas this Sim Racing Studio, I could disconnect it, or I could shut it down completely and restart it in the middle of a race. Let's just say if my motion software for some reason started acting like my webcam, where it's starting to act kind of crazy for no reason, and the motion software would just start and it would just go. So it's a very seamless piece of software, very simple software. But the other motion software that's out there, if you have like a 6 degree of freedom motion rig, something crazy, you can map it to do whatever you want. It just takes a lot more to do it. And I'm not really sure why that webcam is acting. So this is going to take iRacing down the window again, but let me see if I could fix this. And I'm not really sure why this is happening. It's got to be like a, oh, no, it's still kind of glitchy. Let me open up Task Manager and see what's going on. I kind of wonder if, no, it's not running. Sometimes Camera Hub, Elgato Camera Hub could be running in the background, and that'll cause some issues as well. Let me make sure the power plan is correct. That was one thing I also noticed as well. If you are running the 7950 X3D, you're going to want to run high performance power plan, not optimize. And it looks like I'm optimized. That could be part of the issue. Let's see. Check, 1, 2. It's still Still kind of choppy.
The track temp's increasing. It's now 81 Fahrenheit.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why it's so choppy. I'm messing around with the camera settings right now. That's why it keeps pausing. Oh, now it's really locked up. But if you notice, the old face cam that's over here is working just fine. It's perfectly smooth. It's the new one. Why is it always the new one? Let's try a different video format. All right, that's a little bit better. Oh, that's a lot better. I'm running MJPEG right now. That seems to be smoothed out. Okay, so we'll run with that one. Yes, X Simulator. Thank you so much. So X Simulator, I think you could do more with it. This one's very locked into whatever your, whatever they have profiles for. So Prosimu is the motion rig company I'm using. And, they just so happen to have profiles set up already for it. So, wish there was other people on the track with me right now. But what I think we'll do is, out of curiosity, because I know I was like around 68 frames per second. Let's load up an AI test session. If I could find it. Yeah, there we go. So let's do an AI session. And I'm not going to go. We're going to do it exactly like how I did it in one of my review videos. And we'll just see. See if there's any improvement at all. Which I suspect there will be. Let's see. Not one of these. How do you do this again? Single race. We're only going to do the race. The car was, yep, the Z06. Track. There it is. Grand Prix. Standing start. And it was 30 cars. Grid position is going to be 31. There we go. Let's see. Let's see how this runs. If at all. May not run at all. But so far, I'm very happy with how the setup is. Again, I feel like and that's the one thing that, thank goodness I'm not crazy into benchmarking, because I get a little bit obsessive about performance. And once I start doing like 3D Mark videos, then I start tweaking, and then it doesn't stop. And then 2 weeks have gone by, and now I'm having tons of computer issues due to instability from me tweaking different things. It's a rabbit hole I don't want to go down. Yeah, it still bothers me that I feel like I'm leaving performance on the table, being that I cannot run my XMP profile. Now, what I should do is run like RAM timing tests and slowly bump up from where I am. But baseline, I want to say the baseline is like 5600 as far as the RAM speed goes, or 5400 around there. So it's not slow. And then my RAM is rated for 6400. So it's not like the end of the world, but I do know with the Infinity Fabric in AMD, the faster the RAM speed, the more performance you're going to get. Just, you know, they're heavily dependent on, not dependent, but they get benefits from increasing RAM speed. I know that for a fact. It's just whether or not, you know, I am going to do that. So, and the thing is, I actually bought this hardware back in September of 24. It's just, I was so frustrated by all the instability and issues I was having with my computer. It kind of took me out of wanting to make content and kind of took the fun out of it. And then I started focusing more on my drum playing, more on one wheeling, more on my job. That's really what took a lot of my energy, was my job. And so yeah, you know, that's kind of, fortunately, you know, where everything kind of went. So, but yeah, now we're back with this build. So I can't just like return this RAM sticks to Amazon. You know, I purchased it back in September. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, I didn't buy the set that's on the QVL for the speed I wanted, right? So completely my fault. All right, so we're at 80, 90 frames per second right now, which is higher than I would say was on the test. Let's get all the cars.
15 minutes. You'll need to get on with this.
All right, so this is actually not great. We're at, so now I gotta look at the test again, because we're at 40 frames per second.
Go, go, go.
There may be settings on here I didn't have back then too. So 40 frames per second still.
There's an
35.
We think it might be young.
Left side, left side.
AI just tried to kill itself. We're still hanging out at 50.
Track temps increasing.
It's a very dirty part of the track. So not great here, but I'll have to go through exactly what my settings were and what I did during the test, because a lot of updates have happened since then. I know I said I wasn't going to go, but I want to drive. Oh, I'm not paying attention. I'm over here looking up my frame rate. All right, that's why I said I wasn't gonna go, but that's an AI race. Yeah, I'll have to look at my files and see if I actually logged, because sometimes I'll do that. I'll keep a copy of what my settings were and what I did during the data log, so that way I could repeat it in the future. But again, I'm running a 4090. Back then I was running a 3090. So really, I mean, there's something else at play that kind of is keeping my frame rate a little bit further down. I don't think it's the CPU change at all. I don't know. I think maybe I have a lot more settings higher. Who knows? Let's see. Let's go back to an official session. Let's go back to GTE. And I think the next race session is going to be in about an hour. And I want to get some more practice in. Ideally, I would love to get more practice in a session that has people. So I don't like Long Beach. Who here races Long Beach? I like Long Beach with like old race cars. like the old like BMWs and Mercedes. I don't like it with the new GT cars, to be honest with you. But that's just me. Let's see. So the next race is at 1:15. Don't know if I'll be able to actually run that. So let's try to jump in this practice server that has 11 people in it. But overall, this has been a good test. I definitely have to go back and make sure that all of our settings are working here, because so far this camera setting seems to have fixed that. So I'm happy there. We do have some color inconsistencies between my Elgato here and the Elgato there. So I gotta figure that out and iron that out. And it seems to be like this one here is darker purely because of the monitors. So that's kind of by design, but I do want to upgrade my lighting. I'll look up a little bit here. You could see we are running 3 Philips Hue lights, and they are in sync with what's going on the screen. So that's why when I enter a race, you'll see the lights kind of dim down. It's a lot more, I would say, like immersive in nighttime races, because as you pass under the lights, I have it set up where the lights will go by. So that's pretty cool. But I don't know. I've kind of been thinking about just having a static light setup, because I do have my light here, a normal Q light there, but you know, whenever I enter a race, it's like the whole room gets super dark. So I don't know. 2025 changes and goals, you know, resolutions, stuff like that. What can we do differently in 2025? The usual. But yeah, I definitely I want to make sure that I'm getting the most performance out of this before I do the actual video. And again, this is just a test video purely because I wasn't really sure what was going on with the system. I wanted to ensure that it was actually running right before we do anything like that. Let's make this a little bit smaller. It's kind of adjusting a few things here. All right, looks like everything else is up and running. Make iRacing full screen again. Oh, did I actually go into a Long Beach session? What the heck am I doing? Well, it's a fixed setup, so let's just jump in it. I'm not a big Long Beach fan, but I don't even know if I really remember this circuit, to be honest with you. I'm gonna let this guy behind go ahead. Oh, he just smacked the wall. Unsafe pit exit. Did I cross a white line? I must have. Oh no! Let's just go back to the pits. Tires are way too cold for me trying to keep up with that guy. I must have crossed the white line or something.
Exit's clear. Stay behind the white line. Limiter's still on. Disengage it. Take it easy. You've got cold tires.
like in Race Room, this track really, I think it's Long Beach. They have another street circuit there that really shines with the classic Mercedes and like the, I'm trying to think of the name of the series. This hairpin. Kind of feel like these cars just like grip too much and almost like too much for the circuit, you know?
You need to give back the time gained. Sector 1 is 1.8 seconds off the pace. Sector 2 is 2.6 off the pace. E20.
Oh, way too hot. Way too hot. I'll let this guy go through. Come on. Oh, you must have lost the rear there.
That puts you 15 seconds off the pace. Sector 3 is 1.6 seconds off the pace.
Oh!
4 seconds off the pace in sector 1.
Little 360. That's the other thing too is I think this is a fixed setup race. That's insane. I mean, of all tracks, this one needs a setup.
20.
Right side. Clear right, clear right.
Got a guy coming through.
You'll need to slow down if you don't want a penalty.
So Rad Standard, are you in the radiology world? Is that why your name is like that, or what type of work do you do? Way too hot. Me and this circuit, we don't get along, but I'm gonna go for it again. I don't know, I'm kind of a glutton for punishment now that there's all these guys on the track. I don't even know when this race session for this one starts. Aircraft mechanic, oh my gosh.
All clear on pit exit, you can push now.
Thank you for everything you do.
Your tyre temps are all fine.
Did I really miss a line on the pit exit? Yeah. I love it with, like, again, I'll say it, I love the classic cars on this because you can slide them a little bit. It's not as fast. I just, you know, it kind of feels like running a GT3 like at a go-kart track. You know what I mean? It just feels like it's way too much. I love tight circuits. I love like the Nürburgring Nordschleife, but you know that makes up for it for being such a long circuit. And there's so many different types of turns that you know you do have a lot of your gradual turns. And it just this one you kind of feel like you're asking for an incident, right?
Two laps to come in for this penalty. Sector 1 is 1.2, off the pace. Seconds off the pace. 21.
Invalid lap time.
Sector 1 is 0.9 off the pace. Sector 2 is 1.4 seconds off the pace.
must be going over some sort of line. One of the red lines. I think I know which one. So I didn't go in for the drive-through. It's fine. But it's just practice. Let me check one of the other sessions and see like when this race is starting, being that we did a little bit of practice. Not my favorite track, but you know, being that we practiced at it, maybe we can make something of it. I don't know. But it is a fixed race, you know. Let's see. So this one's going to be starting, at 2 p.m. Never mind. Oh, the GT4 series got rid of some of the cars that I had. Okay. That was like, why do I have to purchase something? But interesting. Okay. LMU? That's the name of the series? Oh, Le Mans Ultimate. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I think I have to reinstall it because one limitation with this motherboard is it only has 2 SATA ports instead of 4. So I had to buy, it does have like 3 M.2 drive slots. So I did have to buy another M.2. And then I'm going to be porting everything over from the 2 hard drives that I can't connect over to that one. And I think Le Mans Ultimate was actually one of the titles installed on one of those drives. So all right. I think I'm going to call this test here because I think we're pretty successful. And then next time we actually do a race session, I'll plan for the race session. We'll know what we're going to do going into it, and we'll kind of go from there. But overall, it feels good to be on the track again. It feels good to be in the car again. It feels good to be behind this wheel. I absolutely love this wheel. It is a 3D printed wheel. I need to make some video on it because I kind of feel the DIY area of making wheels is kind of underrepresented and can save everyone a lot of money, especially if you get a group of people together, enthusiasts together to actually build the wheel. I feel like it could save a lot of people a lot of money. And this one definitely has saved me quite a bit of money instead of buying something already done. The instructions to build this wheel you have to pay for, and I think that's like a very small amount of money. But as far as getting everything together, it does take some expertise, but there's definitely groups there on Discord that do this sorts of thing, and that's kind of what I did. But everyone, I'm Crash, this is RTA Motorsports. Thank you so much for joining in. Maybe we'll actually install the other titles, Le Mans Ultimate being one of them. I know I lost my install for like Dirt Rally 2, ACC, so I need to reinstall all those titles, and then we'll get going with the benchmarks. Now that I know that everything's good, I just really need to get my RAM kind of situated and making sure that we're good there before we get too far. But everyone, again, I'm Crash. This is RTA Motorsports. Thank you so much for hanging out. 7950 X3D. So far, so good. So far, so good. And again, I could just keep this motherboard and upgrade to the 9000 series once prices calm down. Maybe next year at some point. But definitely look forward to getting back in the rig and getting back to our normally scheduled broadcast. All right, everyone. Have a great day. See you next time.